Yo, what up? It's your boy Kai, aka Fervent Alchemist, and I'm back again with another deck tech. If you're enjoying anything I'm doing on this channel, make sure to support your boy with the TCG player link below. And now let's get into the video. So we got here, I just want to rock. This is a deck I built for a deck building competition.
This person's part of Illuminati. They sold their soul. They're in the Illuminati.
Really fun, actually. This is with Osgir the Reconstructor. Osgir the Reconstructor is a 2 red-white legendary creature giant artificer. It has vigilance. For 1, sacrifice an artifact. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And it has the tap ability for X. Exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. I'm starting to feel like I'm the graveyard deck guy. Like, because I keep making decks that are graveyard decks. Like, I have another deck that's coming out that's a graveyard deck. And then I have Narset. And then I have Galen Scion and Rigo. Like, it's just getting out of hand. I'm making too many graveyard decks. But anyway, let's keep it going. So we got Osgir. This is technically a Boros control deck with a combo finish, a quick combo finish with Underworld Breach and Zerda, Basalt Monolith, and other combos that require infinite mana. Underworld Breach in this deck is just a combo assembler, and we're gonna be looking for that combo, and I'll go over those combos really quick after we go through the core of the deck. So we got here Duretti Scrap Savant. This is like a recursion piece and it just draws cards. Karn is a thing that locks other players down because we're doing this Boros control thing. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. We're playing this because Osgir specifically says exile a artifact card from your graveyard. Karn brings them back. Karn has that little -2 ability there. It says you may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game or in exile, reveal that card and put it into your hand. That's cracked. That's why we're playing it. So we're gonna move on. Talk about a couple of the synergies. You got Esper Sentinel here. This is a very synergistic card. You know why? Because Osgir can sack this Esper Sentinel and then make 2 copies of Esper Sentinel for 1 mana and a tap. Crazy, right? Insane, ludicrous. We got, let's see here. You got Goblin Engineer, of course. This is a graveyard strategy. We're gonna be looking for this. Also, key part. This can only look for any artifact in the deck. I say that like it's restrictive. It can only look for any artifact in the deck. However, if you want to bring something back, you need to swap it with an artifact on the field, and the artifact card in the graveyard has to be 3 or less. Keep that in mind. You got Oswald Fiddlebender in here. This is a tutor. This is an excellent tutor here in this deck. You got Soul's Jailer in here. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast non-creature spells from the graveyards or exile. Thing about Osgir, just puts it in exile and makes 2 copies of it. That's it. Boys just, playing with Play-Doh, building Legos and shit. Like, it's just... like, and if like you need to win with Soul's Jailer out, you can just have Osgir sacrifice it, and that's it. It's done. Let's move on to the combos here. You got Cogwork Assembler. This is the main combo of the deck, and it's so funny because I was talking to my boy Pat maybe like a year and a half ago, and I got a bunch of Cogwork Assemblers, and I was like, "Hey, bro, is this a good combo piece?" He's like, "Wait a minute. It creates it can target itself." And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it can target itself. And I was like, oh shit. All right, I bought up all the copies. But Cogwork Assembler is a 3 mana artifact creature assembly worker. It has the low ability of 7. Create a token copy of a target artifact. That token gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. So the thing is, you make infinite mana. You establish infinite mana here with Zerda and Basalt Monolith, or Zerda and Grim Monolith, or Basalt Monolith, Grim Monolith, and like Rings of Bright Hearth. You make your infinite colorless mana, and then boom, you drop down the Cogwork Assembler. You pay all that mana into Clockwork Assembler, and you have Clockwork Assembler target copies of itself. So you make Clockwork Assembler target itself, and it makes another copy with haste, and you do it again and again and again. It's kind of like Kiki Jiki, but with an artifact that just has the ability on itself for the low cost of 7 mana, and you just make copies and copies and copies and copies, and then boom, you just swing out and everybody's dead. Simple enough? I think so. You got Crime Novelist here. This deck only has one room for one goblin, and it's not Dockside Extortionist. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like, it's not going in this deck because Crime Novelist is here, and it works pretty well with this deck, honestly. Any deck that you, or any card or artifact that you sacrifice in this deck is free after the first one. So if you sacrifice maybe, I don't know, like Soulless Jailer, then you add a red to your mana pool, and that red can be used to pay for the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So if somebody wants to play their opposing Dockside, which they most likely will, and this deck is going to feed it, that's why I'm not playing it. So you can just sacrifice your whole board with Crime Novelist out. It also gets rather large. Also, the reason why I'm not playing Dockside Extortionist in this deck is because I want to play cards that shut off Dockside Extortionist. So I was originally running like Doorkeeper Thrall, which kind of fucks the deck, and I was running Hushbringer. I can't turn that card off, so I'm running Torpor Orb. Torpor Orb is the card that's going to like turn off Dockside and things like that. And above all that, there's other stacks pieces in here that'll just completely just turn it off. Any key sorceries here? You got Reckless Handling. This is an artifact deck. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you have the artifact in your hand or in the graveyard. As long as you have Osgir out, you can just make 2 copies of it. And if it's in your hand, you just got the 1. Congratulations, you just got a copy of whatever artifact you got. The cool thing about Osgir, you can play your Mana Crypt out, and then you can sacrifice the Mana Crypt to Osgir. You can tap Osgir for 0. Then you're gonna have 2 more copies of Mana Crypt in play. It's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt you pretty badly, but it's pretty good. Like, it's a really good for like a short burst of mana. So you can go from like 2 to 5 just because you have Osgir out, and you have a Mana Crypt in your graveyard. It's a little insane, and the reason why I mention that is because Reckless Handling can put the artifact into your graveyard no matter what. You're still going to get the copy of it. It doesn't matter if any of the artifacts in your deck are copies. It's because they still work on the battlefield, and that's the most important thing. You want those cards to still work while they're on the battlefield. Like I said, you're going to be searching. It doesn't matter what you discard. So if you play Fervent Mastery on 5 and you have no cards in hand, just search for 3 artifacts, search for 2 artifacts, or search for 2 cards in Sevene's Reclamation. I think you'll do fine. Anything here? We got Pull from Eternity. This is a Narset card, dude. The Pull from Eternity is a Narset card. Osgir specifically just exiles artifacts from your graveyard, and Pull will just pull them back, and you can just do it all over again. Specifically because we're running, let's see here. We're running Isochron Scepter. You can put Pull from Eternity under Isochron Scepter and pull any artifacts back from the Great Beyond. And that is also a combo piece with Ugin's Nexus. So this is one of the combos. You can put Scepter with a Pull from Eternity, and then you have Osgir out. You can pay 5 into Osgir and make a copy of Ugin's Nexus, sacrifice it to Osgir, and then take an extra turn after this, and then you pull it back, and then it's just crazy, I'll have it outlined in the primer. I'm not going to explain it in this video. It's way too winded. I'm good. Let's move on. So we got Duskrose Reliquary. This card is insane, bro. Duskrose Reliquary and Portable Hole, they kind of function as the same piece, except that Duskrose Reliquary has to, it costs 2 to sacrifice it. Oh, it costs an artifact or a creature to put it on the stack. And once it's on the stack, you can sacrifice an artifact, preferably, and it'll go to the graveyard, which you can just make 2 copies of with Osgir. And that's really cool. It's a really cool synergy there. Also, when Duskrose Reliquary hits the graveyard, you can make 2 copies of Duskrose Reliquaries. So the removal in here is very decent. And you don't have to pay that additional cost because you're just making copies of Dustworld's Reliquary, which is completely insane. Portable Hold can't say the same for that, but you do exile something that's 2 or less. Same deal. You can sacrifice it to Osgir and make 2 copies of it. You got Conqueror's Flail here. So the main combo here, I'm going to put this out here for the Conqueror's Flail discussion. So the main combo here is or the most efficient combo that you can find in this deck is Basalt Monolith, Mesmeric Orb. So the thing is, you'll have to find Basalt Monolith and Mesmeric Orb, which is a little easier to do because you have Osgir out, and if you make copies of them from the graveyard, then it's still going to work. So what we have here is, let's see if I can find it here. We have Mesmeric Orb. Mesmeric Orb is a 2 mana artifact. Whenever a permanent becomes untapped, that permanent's controller mills a card. And then you have Basalt Monolith. Basalt Monolith has the ability to tap for 3 colorless, and then it has the 3 ability to untap Basalt Monolith. So how the combo works, you activate it for 3, you pay 3 to untap it. You activate it for 3, you pay 3 to untap it, and then you see the pattern here. And then you got Mesmeric Orb, which cares about how many times you untap, and you can just mill your whole library out with that. At the end of the combo, you're going to end up with 3 colorless mana, and if you have 2 more mana available, you can cast Fervent's Reclamation and target your Underworld Breach, and you can maybe target something else, and then you'll have access to your whole graveyard, and then you can just, go ahead, find an infinite mana combo, and then go ahead and kill everybody with Clockwork Assembler. Easy claps. The thing is, once you get that done, once your library is milled, you're going to need something to protect yourself. So you're going to have this Conqueror's Flail. Once your library is all milled out, you're not casting any spells here. So what you're going to do is, you're going to mill your library out. You're going to activate Osgir for 2. You're going to make 2 copies of Conqueror's Flail, and then you're going to equip Osgir with the 2. And maybe you're going to need extra mana for this, of course, but protection costs extra mana. We can't have everything we want. Work with me. So you're going to equip Osgir, and then you're going to cast your Fervent's Reclamation, targeting Underworld Breach, and then you're going to proceed to win the game with like infinite mana, Clockwork Assembler, or whatever, and then boom, done. Crazy. It's lit. We got Sundial the Infinite. I don't know how good this is, but like I said, you can put Scepter with Pull from Eternity under it. Now you can do Scepter with Final Fortune under it, and you can find Sundial the Infinite easier than you can find Angel's Grace. So Sundial's just another way to make the combo a little bit more, it's just to make it a little bit more resilient, and it's easier to find, so it's more efficient. So Sundial's there for that reason. It's just a combo piece. You got Curse Mirror in case you do find a dark side and you want to be a hypocrite. So you play your Curse Mirror, you can sacrifice Curse Mirror to Osgir, then you can tap Osgir for 3 and make 2 copies of Curse Mirror, which also enters 2 copies of Dark Side, which is insane. And then later on, you have 2 rocks that you can use. That's it. That's the deck. That's insane. Cool thing about, I did mention Torpor Orb. Tangle Wire is the same way. Tangle Wire is a 3 mana artifact with Fading 4. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player taps an untapped artifact, creature, or land he or she controls for each fade counter on Tangle Wire. So initially you drop your Tangle Wire down for 3. Your opponents have to tap 4 permanents basically. Then it gets back to your turn. Before your turn comes, you can just sacrifice Tangle Wire to Osgir. Tangle Wire goes to your graveyard, you untap for free, and then you tap Osgir for 3, and then you put 2 Tangle Wires into play, and now everybody has to tap they have to tap 8 permanents. And now, because you have 2 artifacts in play, it gets discounted by 2, so it's almost like you're paying like a little extra for a little Tangle Wire. You're playing like, a little discount, a little 2 mana discount, But you're going to have all those permanents out. You're going to be getting the short end of the stick always with Tangle Wire out, and it's going to be great. You got Trinisphere here. Trinisphere is a lovable card that we all play in stacks decks because it makes everything 3 or less, or 3 or less to cost 3. The cool thing about this is that you can make 2 of them. You can make 2 of these. You got Mystic Forge, aka the Pizza Oven. So you can play this Pizza Oven out. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card. You can tap to pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library. You know, this deck's completely colorless, basically. Anything that's not colorless is either red, and if it's not red, then it's white. You got One Ring. One Ring is an excellent card in this deck. Unfortunately, you can't make copies of this, but you can make copies of this with Clockwork Assembler and Infinite Mana. You got Blood Boon, which is a card I haven't played in a while, and people are like, oh my god, what about the Dark Side Extortionist? Well, I'm playing Torpor Orb, bitch. Forget about it. But Blood Moon just completely demolishes each and every single greedy mana base out there. People aren't running basics, and we're going to show them that you need to run basics. Stranglehold, your opponents can't search libraries, and if an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. Like, no Final Fortunes, no Warrior's Oath, no Last Chance, no Demonic Tutor, no Vampiric Tutor. Fuck out of here with all that shit. But yeah, that concludes the whole deck here. If you like what I brewed up here for this deck building competition, feel free to drop a like or a comment below. Yeah, I'm actually kind of proud of this deck. I actually built this deck within like a 2-day span. This is really cool. And I'm really hype about fucking Clockwork Assembler. This card's insane. This is a really cool way to close out the game in Boros. I fucking love this card. But yeah, if you like everything here, feel free to drop a comment below, shoot me a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later in the next one. Peace.